Okay, good morning everyone. I am your teacher for oral communication. My name is Teresa Demia Cabatos. I will be with you for the next two and a half months. Okay, so I hope everybody will be able to get through this topic successfully. Okay, all right, so our first lesson will be about the fundamentals of communication. So, the most essential learning competency for this lesson is about how to explain the functions, nature, and process of communication. So, as I've said earlier, I will be your teacher or facilitator and guide in this module. So, before you start answering the module, I want you to set aside the tasks that will disturb you while enjoying the lesson. So, I hope you will do enjoy our lessons so that you will be able to learn, right? Because you will not be able to learn something if you are not enjoying it. Okay, so before we begin, I want you to keep this in mind. Okay, so take note of the following. So, number one, follow carefully all the contents and instructions indicated in every page of this module. Write in your notebook or any writing pad the concepts about the lessons. Writing enhances learning. That is important to develop and keep in mind, right? So it is important that you keep writing down the what you call important topics that you should remember so that you have something to look back on. Okay. Number three, perform all the provided activities in the module. Number four, let your facilitator or your parents or your guardian assess your answers. So if you are not quite sure about your answers, you can always ask your parents for assistance. Okay? Number five, analyze conceptually the post-test and apply what you have learned in a certain topic. And most of all, I want you to enjoy studying. All right. So, let's see here. Lesson 1, Fundamentals of Communication. So, as your teacher, I expect that you, as a learner, will understand the nature, elements, and process of oral communication in context. Specifically, this module will help you to A. Define communication. B. Identify the elements of communication. C. Explain the process of communication. And letter D. Explain the importance of communication. Okay, so let us start your journey in learning more of the fundamentals of communication. I'm sure you are excited to answer the modules, right? Are you excited? Should be, right? It's the only thing that keeps us going. Okay. Right here. So let us have a brief introduction first of oral skills. So, oral skills, speaking and listening, are the very foundation of literacy. So, you are only able to learn if you are able to listen and speak, right? So, classroom talk helps students to learn, to reflect on what they are learning, and to communicate their knowledge and understanding. In this course, students are given authentic opportunities to learn how to listen and speak effectively in various situations, whether individually, in pairs, so by two, in small or in large groups. In this module, we will explore on the fundamentals of communication based on the following partitions. So first, definition, second, elements, and third, process of communication. Okay, so let us now go ahead and define communication. Okay, so wala pa tayo sa oral communication, but let us define communication in general. So the etymological meaning of communication is, in English term, communication has been evolved from Latin language. Communis, spelled as COMMUNIS, and communicare, COMMUNICARE. These two words, communis and communicare, are two Latin words related to the word communication. Communis is a noun word which means common, communality, or sharing. Similarly, communicate is a verb, which means make something common. Some scholars relate the term communication with an English word, community. Community members have something common to each other. Communities are supposed to be formed with a tie of communication. It is the foundation of community. Hence, where there is no communication, there can't be a community. So basically, class, all of us, kitang tanan, are inside in a community, right? So naatay community. Let's say in your own barangay, say in our barangay, I am living in a community in our barangay, Canduao Oriental, right? So if I myself do not communicate to the people inside my community, that means I am not a part of the community, right? Kay wala man ka maglabot-labot sa imong community, wala man kay hanaw, pintahay na amoy mga purok-purok meeting, right? Kadi ka mag-apil-apil kay kapoy, right? So di na siya sakto. That means kung di ka mag-apil-apil, that means you are not a part of the community. Okay? Next, the other meaning of communication. So communication is a process of sharing and conveying messages or information from one person to another within and across channels, contacts, media, and cultures. So there is a wide variety of contexts and situations in which communication can be manifested. It can be a face-to-face interaction, so that is when you are talking face-to-face with your friends or your family. A phone conversation, so when you are giving a phone call to your loved ones. It can be a group discussion. So if, say for example, you have a group activity and you need to discuss it with your group members kung unsaon ninyo pagbuhat, right? So that is a group discussion. That is also a form of communication. Kaya kung di mo magsabot, di mo magkasinabot, wa mo'y mahatag na project, right? Okay. So a meeting or interview, a letter correspondence. So kanang sa una, di ba? Kung nag face to face pa ta, magsulat sa inyong maestra ni absent ko ma'am kay sakit akong tiyan. So that is a letter of correspondence. You are communicating to your teacher, nagpabalo ka kung anong dili ka mo klase. Bisan joke ka to nga sakit imong tiyan, no? Alright? So, a class recitation. So, kanang pangutan-on mo ni teacher, oh, ikaw, Maria, unsa may meaning og communication? Dayon, di mo tingog si Maria kay mahadlok. Right? Oral recitation. Lo, mag-oral na ba meron? Kasi gara ninyo, diba, mahadlok mag-oral. So, dapat, di mo mahadlok anong oral recitation kay practice na ninyo sa inyong communication skills. Okay? Kasi nabot ba ta mga higala? Mga amigo? Okay pa? Padayon pa ta? Okay, padayon, madam. Okay, so communication is the act or process of using words, say words, sounds, signs. So sign language is also a form of communication sa mga kung ano mute, di ba? Ng mga amang, okay? Or behaviors to express or exchange information or ideas, thoughts, feelings, and others. Okay, di ba? Usahay, mag-sign language ata. Okay. Okay. Okay ka? Right? Or no? Dili. Pass. Right? Okay. So it is a process of transmitting and receiving verbal and non-verbal messages that produce a response. Diba? Kung naa kay kastorya, lisod pod og dili ka tubagon sa imong kastorya. Diba? Inon kag bay, ta paingon bay. Nya di mo tingog imong kauban nya siyay nang hagad nimo og laag. Right? Lisod pod, no? Okay. So it is a two-way process. So ang communication class, it has to be two-way. Kamong duha magsabot, magstorya. Dili kay usara. Nabitaw no og mag-uyab, nya mag-away kay kasagaran kay ang bae ra magsigig yaw-yaw. Nya ang iyang uyab kay naminaw ra. That means wala mo nag-communication. Kay wala may interaction. Right? So, dukli ng inyong uyab o di matingog ha. Kay wala mo anak nagstorya kung di siya matingog. Okay? Okay. So, which two or more persons come to exchange ideas and achieve common understanding. So, it is only called communication if kamong duha nagstorya, there is an interaction between you two, and nagkasinabot mo at the end of your conversation. So, that is communication. The communication is considered effective when it achieves a desired reaction or response from the receiver. In order for communication to be successful, the sender and the receiver must have signs, words, or signals in common with each other so the sent message can be understood. Okay, so kinsa man gyud ni ma'am si sender og si receiver? Diba? Unsa mas ma'am? Uy, sige ra maghisgot og sender og receiver. Okay, so mao ni ti karon ato ang i-discuss sa atong storyaan. Kinsa man ni si sender, ma'am? Kinsa man ni si receiver? Okay, so let us now talk about the elements of communication. Okay, so communication is divided into elements which help us better understand its mechanics or process. These elements are the following. Number 1, speaker. So, si speaker is the source or communicator, or siya si sender. Diba? Nag-mention ko ganina og sender. So, it's the speaker. So, the source or communicator or sender of the information or message. The communicator initiates the process by having a thought or an idea that he or she wishes to transmit to others. So, mauna si sender. Kung kinsa ang unang mustorya, siya mao ang source sa information or sa message, mauna siya si sender. Okay? Number 2, the second element, we have the message. Okay? So, the message is the information, ideas, or thoughts conveyed by the speaker in words. So, mao ni ag mensahe, right? Nga gisulti sa speaker or sa sender. So, whether it is written or spoken, or in actions, gestures, or symbol. Basta unsay mensahe. Ug moingon si speaker. Okay, that means, okay ra ba? Carry bells, diba? Na mga inana nga, mga word ninyo, carry lang. Okay. Number 3 is encoding. So, unsa maning encoding? Kanang nag-encode ka sa laptop nimo or sa computer? Dili, right? No, not that encoding. But this encoding means the process of converting the message into words, actions, or other forms that the speaker understands. It is an act of translating ideas or thought by the source into a language that may be perceived by the senses. So, ang encoding class, asa man ni siya nahitabo? Sa speaker ba o sa receiver? Ha? So, ang process of converting the message man, kinsa may nakadawat sa message. Right? So, obviously, dili ni si speaker or si sender. Mao ni siya si receiver. Kasi receiver class is another element. Mao ni siya ang recipient of the message or someone who decodes the message. Diba? Oh, wait, sorry. No. Encoding. Decoding man da ito si receiver class. So, ang encoding di ay ato ni siya ni happen ni sender or ni speaker. Mao ni ag pagbansay-bansay niya og unsaon niya pagsulti ang message adto ni receiver. Okay, again ha. So, encoding, the third element, is happening to the sender. So, mao ni siya ag kanang pag-process sa speaker ug unsaon niya pagsulti sa receiver. Kumintahay kamo, mananghid mo ni mama ug maglaag, right? So, before ka musulti ni mama nga maglaag ka, imong huna-hunaon daan ug unsaon pagsulti ni mama nga sureball nga tugtan ka, right? Di man ka mananghid dayon og ma mulaag sa ko. There is a possibility nga mingon si mama nga no, right? So you have to think first. Huna-huna adaan, you also have to consider the mood of your mom, right? Kaya kung gisapot si mama, nanghid ka, ay sure na di katugtan, right? So you also have to consider the mood and the situation before you say something, right? So you think of how you say the message. Mo ni ang encoding. Okay, fourth element class is the channel. Channel. So, ang channel class, dili ni siya channel nga ABS-CBN or GMA, ha? Or HBO. Di ni mao nga channel inyong gipangita. The channel means the medium or the means, such as personal or non-personal, verbal or non-verbal, in which the encoded message is conveyed or transmitted. It also refers to the means of transmission in which ang channel also refers to the means of transmission in which the message travels to the receiver. Channel is synonymous to the medium. For example, if you are writing a letter to your distant friend, your letter is the medium, right? So, ang channel class, mao ni ang paagi kung giunsa nimo pag-communicate from sender to receiver. Okay? So, giunsa man nimo pagsulti di ay ako ra lang gi-chat si mama oy kay murag bad mood man to. Bahala na sa mama oy, basta kay ni chat ko. Sakto ba na? No, right? So, if you ask permission to your parents, make sure nga ni yes sila. Dili kay magbuot-buot ra mo nga ni yes. Okay? So, ang channel class mo na siya ang paagi o giunsa nimo pagsulti. Right? So, first, again, the elements of communication, we have the speaker or the sender, kadtong asa nagikan ang information. Next is the message itself, kung unsa imong gustong isulti. Third is the encoding. Mao ni siya ag gihuna-huna jud nimo tarong og unsaon nimo pagsulti sa message nga dili masuko or dili mahiubos or para malipay ang imuhang ingnan. Okay? Channel is unsa ang paagi nimo gipadala imong message. Imo bang gipananghid face to face? Imo bang gisulatan lang? Imo bang gichat lang or nanawag ba ka? Okay, so mao na siya ang channel. The fifth element class is decoding. So mao ni siya si decoding class. The decoding is the process of interpreting the encoded message of the speaker by the receiver. It is to understand the meaning of a received information in your own language. So, di ba ang encoding class, adto to siya mahitabo ni sender. Di ba? Unsa ko niya pagsulti. Karon, ani na punta sa decoding. So, kani si decoding, ani ni siya nahitabo ni receiver. Right? So, iyahang gi-process o giunsa niya pagdawat sa imuhang gisulti. Right? So, iyahang gisabot og unsa ang imong gisulti niya. Kintahay niya iningon nimo og day, I love you. So, dili gud ka mag-expect sa receiver nga moingon dayon og I love you too, right? At first, mura po na siya og, I love you ko no? Diba? So, mura pa na siya makurat. And then, maghuna-huna pa na siya. Maghuna-huna o sa kanya tagaan og tubag. Right? So, that part where naghuna-huna ang receiver is already decoding. Okay? The sixth element class, ang ikaunom, is the receiver, of course. Walay mahitabo nga speaker kung walay receiver. Okay? So, the recipient of the message or someone who decodes the message. So, kasabot na taana, no? No need to further explain. Number 7 is the feedback, which is the most important. Diba? So, feedback or the responses of information provided by the receiver after receiving the message. So, unsa may reaction sa gisultian nimo og I love you? Nakurat ba siya? Nalipay ba siya? Nadagan ba siya? Kinahadlok? Right? So, ang feedback is the reaction or response. Yes or no. Nauna siya ang feedback. Next, we have the barrier. So, naay barriers to communication. Right? Ang barrier class is the factors that affect the flow of communication. So, kung atong bisayon ang barrier, mao ni siya ang babag. Babag nga di mo magkasinabot. Okay? So, when you make a phone call, maybe the barrier is that walay signal. Wala kaayo may signal or nawala ang signal. That is a kind or that is an example of a barrier of communication. So, wala mo kayo nagkasinabot kay wala kaayo signal or nawala ang signal. Or wala naman nagkasabot kay barrier, sometimes your emotions, di ba? Kung naglagot ka kaayo, posible nga dili mo magkasinabot, right? Kay barrier man gihapon na siya. Mahimo siyang barrier nga di mo magkasinabot. So, barrier to communication. Okay, next is the context. Unsa man ning context class? So, the context refers to the environment where communication takes place. So, importante sa bayana class, no? Ang lugar, tahay, kung asa ka nisulti sa imong gustong ipaabot nga message. Kintahay, nanguyab ka ani niya. Nga, maingon ka niya, Miss, I love you. Nga naaday mo sa CR. Pwede day na, di ba? Kisa man ganahan makadawat ng imong I love you niya na amo sa CR. Ay, gross. Ayaw lang ng CR day. Let's say na amo sa asa man mall. Ganahan ba mo na ay mag-propose ninyo sa mall? Mao na uso ninyo no, mag-mall-mall. Magpa-malling-malling dayon. Not good. Okay? So, okay pa ta? Okay pa ta mo pa dayon? Maybe anak sa lang tatama no sa elements of communication. So in our next lesson, I hope na anapod mo'y makutlo nga lesson gamay. I hope na amoy nakutlo nga lesson karon about communication. And see you again next time on my next video lesson. Hope nga kamong tanan na aunta and hope makasabot mo aning akong lesson karon. Bye bye.